Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm 27 male, the only child of my late father and my mom, 56 female. My dad passed away when I was 14. He left behind a modest but lovely house in town that my mom and I lived in. It was our anchor for years, where I grew up, where I passed high school exams, where my mom built a small garden and hosted backyard barbecues each summer. It was more than bricks and mortar. It was home in every sense of the word. About 5 years ago, Mom reconnected with someone from her past. Let's call him Tom, 60 male. Tom had been a friend of Dad's in college and drifted apart after graduation, but Mom bumped into him at a reunion event. He seemed charming, successful on the surface, and caretaking in a way Dad never was. I was skeptical. Dad was quiet and steady. Tom was loud and charismatic. But Mom was lonely. She'd been a widow for over a decade, balancing work and parenting me, with little time for romance. When Mom told me she wanted to start dating again, I supported her. I trusted her judgment and her right to happiness. At first, things were nice. Tom took us out to dinners, introduced us to his adult children from a previous marriage, and seemed genuinely interested in blending families. We had 3 Christmases and 2 Thanksgivings together without much drama. He'd occasionally talk about bigger plans in his spare time, an idea for a consulting business he said would skyrocket once properly funded. He'd hint that once that business took off, he'd retire early, and Mom and I could take life easy. I chalked it up to harmless daydreaming. Then, about 2 years ago, things shifted. After a particularly emotional night, Tom sat Mom down and suggested something drastic. Sell the house my dad left her while property prices were high, then move into his home, a spacious, well-appointed property in a nicer part of town. The plan was to combine our financial resources, pay off some debts, and have extra cash left over to invest in Tom's consulting startup. He painted a picture of joint wealth. Between your home equity and my initial capital, we'll have a golden opportunity. You'll never worry about money again. I was furious when I found out. I confronted Mom, reminding her that the house was Dad's legacy and that, as her only child, I'd grown up there. That it was more than an asset. It was our home. I pleaded with her to consult a financial planner, or at least consider renting it out instead of selling. But Mom had already made up her mind. She was tired of the creaky floors and the upkeep. Tom had whisked her off on a week-long Caribbean cruise as a preview of the good life, and she fell for his vision. I felt blindsided, heartbroken, and powerless. Within 2 months, the house was on the market. I helped with the packing, my final goodbye to the place that held my happiest memories. The sale went through at a surprisingly good price, netting over $350,000 after fees. Tom insisted they required at least $200,000 for his consulting business's launch phase. Office space rental, website setup, initial marketing. He promised Mom monthly returns over and above the mortgage savings from moving in with him. The remaining $150,000 would be split, some in savings for Mom, some in a joint account for family emergencies. We moved into Tom's house, a grand 2-story with a pool and a security system. I admit it felt nice. For the first time, I had my own downstairs guest room, and Mom had a beautiful den to start her graphic design hobby again. But almost immediately, cracks showed. Tom's consulting clients never materialized. He spent weeks drafting proposals, attending networking events, and polishing his pitch deck. Yet the money he was burning through was alarming. Within 6 months, half the investment was gone, renting a fancy office downtown, which they barely used, and expensive software subscriptions. The promised growth never came. By the 1-year mark, the entire $200,000 was depleted. The joint savings account was down to a few $1,000s. Mom had no more equity in her old house. She'd transferred the proceeds, and Tom's business was essentially defunct. They were both in their late 50s and 60s with limited earning capacity. She'd left a well-paying municipal job to work part-time for his startup. He'd quit a steady corporate position to chase this dream. They hadn't saved for retirement. I could see the panic in their eyes. A few months ago, Tom came to me with a request. They needed help covering their monthly mortgage and bills. He confessed that they had taken out a mortgage on his house to pay off some business debts, and the payments were now due. Mom's part-time income wasn't enough. He asked if I could lend them $2,000 monthly until Mom's savings kicked in, or until he could find another gig. He emphasized how much I'd gained from the move. Fancy new home, no rent, nice car, and hinted that it was only fair I paid back some of that benefit. I debated. I love my mom. I didn't want her to suffer homelessness or lose the house they'd moved into. But I also felt cheated. I'd lost the house Dad left me. I had no obligation to bail out two people who gambled away her inheritance. I'm also not especially well off, just starting my career and trying to pay off student loans. I told them I was sorry but couldn't afford a monthly loan of $2,000. Instead, I offered a conditional arrangement. I would help cover half the mortgage payment each month, but only if we signed the house title over to me, securing my future and preventing me from getting left out in the cold if they defaulted. That way, I'd have some stake in protecting the property, and they'd get the help they needed. They could later buy me out when they recovered financially. This suggestion blew up into a full-blown family crisis. Tom accused me of blackmailing them, saying that if I had any dignity, I wouldn't demand collateral from my own parents. He said I was heartless, treating them like a business deal rather than loved ones. My mom burst into tears, calling me ungrateful, reminding me that she'd given me everything she had, and how dare I think of her home as collateral. She accused me of taking Dad's memory and twisting it into leverage. I tried to stay calm. I repeated that I loved them and wanted to help, but I couldn't risk another financial disaster at my expense. I reminded them that I had, after all, given up my childhood home and had been supportive when they sold it. Surely it wasn't unreasonable to ask for legal protection before extending significant monthly assistance. My suggestion shattered what was left of their trust. They spent the next few days calling me names: selfish, cold, ungrateful. Tom threatened to kick me out of the house and sell it to cover costs. Mom, usually soft-spoken, lashed out in anger. After everything I've done for you, raising you alone, sacrificing so much, you'd stoop to demanding the roof over our heads. She reminded me that, as his wife, her first loyalty was to Tom. As for me, I was the enemy. My friends and a couple of extended family members are divided. Some say I'm right to protect myself and treat this like any business transaction. Others say I'm letting resentment cloud my compassion. I'm torn. On one hand, Tom's mismanagement of Mom's money feels like a betrayal. They gambled away her inheritance, leaving me with nothing from Dad's estate. On the other hand, this is my mom I'm talking about. I don't want her to lose her home and end up with no safety net. But if I help them without security, I'll likely never see the money again. And I'm not willing to let Tom risk me into ruin. I can't help but think, would Dad have let Mom pour her inheritance into a risky startup without a solid plan? Dad was prudent. He taught me that our home was more than an asset. It was a sanctuary. Yet Mom trusted Tom completely, dismissing my concerns as negativity. Now that decision has cascaded into a crisis, and I'm caught in the middle. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? OP is not the a-hole here. OP's mom and stepdad made a terrible financial choice by selling the inheritance and sinking it into a failed business, and now they want a P to clean up their mess. Asking to put the house in OP's name before he commits to helping is nothing more than a reasonable safeguard. It protects OP-ye. OP is offering to share their burden, not abandon them, just making sure OP won't lose everything in the process. And now let's hear community's opinion. Everyone sucks here. Tom's irresponsible business gamble was foolish, and your mom was naive to go along. But demanding the house title in exchange for helping feels more like a punitive power play than compassion. Yes, protect yourself, but maybe there's a middle ground, a co-signed loan agreement, or a formal repayment plan, without turning your family home into collateral. Nobody comes out looking great here, but compromise is still possible. No a-holes here. You're not heartless for asking for security. You just want to make sure their mistake doesn't destroy your future. And they aren't monsters for feeling hurt. Losing that money and their home is traumatic. This situation sucks for everyone. It might help to get a third party involved, a financial counselor or mediator, to broker a plan that protects you while giving your mom and Tom a realistic path forward without constant blame. Not the a-hole. And get everything in writing. If you're going to help, draft a simple agreement outlining your monthly contributions, repayment terms, and the house transfer details. Consult a real estate attorney or financial planner before signing anything. That way, you'll have legal clarity, your mom gets relief, and Tom knows you mean business. Emotions aside, this is a contract situation, not a family favor. Was married for 8 years. Had one stepdaughter and 2 kids from my marriage. Husband has a midlife crisis, cheated on me, left for a barely legal 18-year-old. Said our child was too much for him to handle, and he was done parenting. We've been separated for a little over a month now. He's been couch surfing, sleeping at friends' places, in his car, and just left our entire lives in shambles. I was a stay-at-home parent for the duration of our marriage, and he left me high and dry. He also left his ex-wife, mother of his first child, high and dry too. He was court-ordered to pay $400 a month in child support. He's not paid that since we separated in early April. So he's currently 2 months behind. His ex-wife reached out to me, claims she's really struggling, even though she and her new partner work full-time jobs. She is currently pregnant with her new partner's child, and claims she was using my ex's child support to support all of them in some shape or form. Was never any of my business what she spent the child support on. She then asked me to provide the previous 2 months of child support. I laughed and told her no way, absolutely not, I can't do it. I'm surviving off of what the food banks can give me while I wait for my SNAP application to be approved so I can feed my children. I've never been more destitute and feeling like the crap on the bottom of someone's shoe until now. Stepdaughter's mother called me an a-hole and a few other choice names. Said I am partaking in the suffering of my stepchildren. I tried to explain to her that all of our children are suffering. My stepdaughter and my 2 biological children. Stepdaughter's mother is now withholding visits, claiming that I must have done something wrong for my husband to leave me, which is really hurtful because it came out of nowhere that he was unhappy with our life. I feel horrible, but I have no means or ways to pay my soon-to-be ex-husband's child support. I don't even have the means to support myself or my 2 children right now until I can take my ex to court and get child support from him as well. No one is winning in this situation, and I feel bad, but it's not like I saw this coming. Stepdaughter's mother is still harassing me today, claiming I owe her the money, and it's not her job to raise stepdaughter alone. I just feel like we genuinely got ducked over by the same person, but at least she has another partner to help her out. I have no one. Am I the a-hole for not paying my ex's child support? There's a magical button on everyone's phone that allows you to block this kind of trash that call themselves people. In which universe are you responsible for paying child support for a child that isn't yours? Not the a-hole. Block her and avoid her at any cost. And I hope you'll be able to raise from this difficult time you're going through, like a phoenix from its ashes. Not the a-hole. The stepdaughter's visit should stop unless the dad is present. Visitation is for the child and parent. How about this? I'll pay you for support for your 1 child as soon as you start paying me child support for my 2 kids. Not the a-hole. And just remember that you have no obligation to pick up the phone just because someone has chosen to call you. And there is nothing rude about hanging up on someone who is actively harassing you. My 34 female sister, 27 female, is getting married in June. November last year, her fiancé lands himself in the ER because he slipped on some stairs. Ended up with a broken arm and he needed surgery. He didn't have any insurance at the time, so they had to use more than half of their wedding budget to settle the hospital bill. My sister calls me and asks me if I can loan her $6,000 because they needed to start booking things for the wedding. She said she could get the money eventually if she saved every month, but they needed it at that very moment, so she has no choice. I said yes, because money isn't tight as I live alone and I knew she needed it. The issues occur when my sister-in-law, 32, finds out about our arrangement. My brother, 33, knew about the whole thing, but he never told his wife. My sister's fiancé let it slip when he was with sister-in-law and my brother. The next day, she calls me up to say it's nice I'm helping them out. I told her that she's my sister and I'm doing all right financially, so it wasn't a big deal. Her immediate response was, "I just can't help but wonder why we weren't given a helping hand too. It's been tough with the kids. It's just so funny to me. He is your sibling too, after all. I guess in this family, we play favorites. I just thank God I wasn't raised like this." Up till this point, I wasn't even aware they needed help financially. My brother never spoke to me about any financial hardships he was going through. Sister-in-law reveals that she lost her job a while back, and my brother has been the sole breadwinner since. She used to bring home a bigger paycheck, so the sudden shift was hard for them. I didn't know about any of this. Sister-in-law asks if I'll help them out, and I tell her I'll get back to her. I call my brother after to inform him what happened and ask if he needs help. He's furious because he repeatedly told her to keep their situation to herself. He says he doesn't need the help and that he's sorry for the way sister-in-law behaved. Sister-in-law apparently got chewed out and called my sister to complain and then guilt-tripped her, saying she's so lucky she got help when she asked, because when my sister-in-law asked, she didn't get anything. She also informed my sister that she will not be attending the wedding, as it will be a sour occasion for her when she sees me there. Brother and sister-in-law are now on very rocky terms, barely speaking to each other, and sister-in-law insists that it is my fault entirely for roping my brother into this. I feel somewhat guilty here because I'm the oldest sibling, and I should have asked if my brother was okay. My lack of attention screwed me because I couldn't help him when he needed it, and he had to deal with this all on his own. I could be an a-hole here because I feel like if I had just dealt with my sister-in-law on my own, without bringing my brother into it, none of these problems would have occurred. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law is an a-hole. She guilt-tripped you and went directly behind your brother's back to do so, then guilt-tripped your sister, escalating the situation further. Any issues between them is not your fault. Your sister-in-law made some very poor personal choices, and you shouldn't be held accountable for them. 1. I feel like you lend your sister money for her wedding, and your sister-in-law is asking for a gift. This level of entitlement usually comes with someone not paying back, because, according to them, you can afford it. Maybe this is not true, and I know worse people compared to your sister-in-law. 2. If the borrowed money was for the household, wouldn't your brother find out about it at some point? How does her logic work here? And your brother does not want or need the help, so... 3. I would not dare to call up my in-laws to guilt them into giving me money. How was she raised that she doesn't have that sense of boundary? But all of the above becomes irrelevant, because it's your money, and you can do with it whatever you want. Not guess who would need it and then lend or gift them some. Not the a-hole. She did this to herself. Not the a-hole. Don't feel guilty. Your sister, probably, asked out of desperation, and sounds like she wants to pay you back. Your sister-in-law, on the other hand, heard you gave her money and is now looking for a handout, probably with no intention of paying you back. Your brother doesn't want your help. You're not responsible for their financial situation, and he doesn't want to be in debt to you. My boyfriend, male, mid-30s, has a daughter, G, 10, with his ex-wife, T. The ex-wife is fighting a very aggressive form of brain cancer. Now, a bit of backstory. T and I never did get on well. I met my boyfriend while he was in the proceedings of their divorce, and I think she's always thought we had an affair long before then. She hates me a lot, and so does G. I've been called a homewrecker, an S, and other nice things ever since I first met them. Now, my boyfriend is usually very quick to shut down their BS, but he adores his daughter and still cares about ex-wife. They've been together 15 years and been friends since their childhood. Ever since the diagnosis, he's been the one driving ex-wife to medical appointments and such, and he's asked me the favor to look after his daughter while he's with T. He knows what a huge favor it is. He's thanked me profusely every time, and I know how much he needs my help. Everything went to crap a few hours ago, when I was asked to bring G back to her mother's house. T started saying I must be glad she's dying, because I can keep BF to myself now. She said I must be happy because now I get to keep her daughter and pretend she's mine. She said a lot of ugly things, and boyfriend didn't do anything to correct her. I stayed really quiet because, to be frank, I was incredibly shocked. Still am, to be honest. When we got home, I lost it with him and told him I wouldn't keep his daughter any longer, not if he allowed T to talk to me in such a manner. He said I'd be a huge a-hole if I went through with this, because T has just found out she's only got a few weeks left, and not the months she'd previously thought. Is he right? Would I be the a-hole if I stopped babysitting his daughter? Edit. I will continue to look after the kid. To be honest, I think I never had any actual intentions of stopping. In my anger, I just wanted my boyfriend to listen to me for a moment. And I think I need to have a chat with my boyfriend. I haven't seen him yet since the fight, because he's had to go back at his ex's shortly after. I'm a bit more level-headed at the moment, so I'll take the time to expand on some points I've seen brought up in the comments. No, my boyfriend and I did not have an affair. I can't believe I have to say this. Their divorce was almost finalized when we met, and the reason they divorced was that they'd been growing more and more distant, to the point where ex-wife had an extramarital affair and boyfriend didn't even care. I trust him because he's shown me again and again the truthfulness of his words. His daughter was always going to be a part of my life. I knew that since the very beginning. My boyfriend and his daughter have always been very, very close. We sat down a while ago after X's diagnosis and talked about it. There are no doubts his daughter was always coming to live with us after her mother's death. And one thing, I love my boyfriend. And so I care deeply about the people he loves too, which include his daughter. I care for the kid a lot, and have tried and was always going to keep trying to build a relationship with her. It's the daughter who wants nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with me. I'm under no delusions about what our future will be like. The kid has always been my boyfriend's priority, rightfully so, and I know she's going to need her dad a lot after her mother passes. I also know my boyfriend is going to be grieving heavily, and was ready to support him fully. My boyfriend was able to just stand there and watch as his ex spouted so much anger and sheer hatred at me that I was struck dumb. I have never seen anything like it, and he just stood there, watching me in tears as this woman kept yelling and yelling. He didn't do a thing, not even guide me out of the room. It felt much like a betrayal, to be honest, and the fact that he was not even a bit understanding afterwards has made me reconsider pretty much everything. I'm sorry, but I cannot excuse completely ex-wife for her past behavior. Boyfriend says she's always been very headstrong and jealous, and he never found anything weird with her. Her behavior started changing around 6 months ago, and we all started noticing then. Oh boy, you're in a difficult situation for sure. Do you love this man? You know that with this man comes his child, right? And how you behave will now determine how this child responds to you in the future, presuming you want a future with boyfriend after this. You are not obligated to sit and take aggression, no matter where it is coming from. Do understand, though, this likely isn't the real her. She's literally grappling with life and death, not to mention a likely mood-altering brain tumor that could have been there for years. And the amount of pain she must be in emotionally, knowing she won't be there for her daughter, must be driving her crazy. Ever seen the movie Stepmom? This is your choice, though. You don't have to take it. You would not be the a-hole to step away altogether. Just don't expect to stay in that relationship if you refuse to watch his daughter. This feels like a deal breaker for you both. There are no a-holes here. This is so far above am I the a-hole's pay grade. A dying mother lashing out at the most convenient target, and brain cancer. This is 100% affecting her ability to filter and regulate what she says. A partner watching the mother of his child, someone he once loved, die. He's with you and doesn't want to make this harder on anyone. A child caught in the middle of all of this, and you, with your very valid feelings of being unfairly treated. You need to find a grief therapist now, one that you can talk to, one that boyfriend and daughter can go to. This is going to be a very rough ride. No a-holes. Not the a-hole, but I don't see your relationship surviving much longer. I would nope out of that toxic mess. Boyfriend is numb and has no boundaries. Stepkid is using you as an emotional tampon. The ex, if she passes, you'll be fighting a ghost with an angry preteen. Update. First, I sat my boyfriend down for a chat as soon as I saw him again, which was the day following our discussion. He agreed that we needed to talk, and told me he was sorry for calling me an a-hole, that he had been so much in shock that he hardly even remembered the whole fight in the first place. I told him I could understand that, and told him I love him and wanted to be there for him and support him throughout this ordeal. I also added, though, that I would need him to be able to stick up for me in the future, even against his daughter, who would be grieving and in a lot of pain. I told him to think about it and let me know, and also said that I would keep his daughter for as long as he needed me to, independently from his answer. He asked me to marry him on the spot. No ring or anything, but he was crying and it was very sweet. So now we're engaged and relatively happy. Second, T passed away a week later. I followed your suggestion and didn't see her again. G is living full-time with us now, and I have what I think are, if not good, hopeful news. 10 days after her mother's death, she broke down in hysterics because she wanted her mom. It was an incredibly sad moment. She kept yelling insults at me and crying, and again yelling at me. I was in tears, because seeing a child in that much pain is heart-wrenching. So I intervened before my fiancé could say anything. Told G that I couldn't bear to see her so distressed, and that I would go stay with a friend until she felt a bit better. That I loved her, and just wanted her to be less sad. She ran to me, hugged me, and begged me not to leave her. We cried together, and I think we might be on the road to healing. My, male 24, brother, male 30, got married to his wife, female 29, 3 years ago after dating for 2 years. My relationship with my brother wasn't close. He was always good at everything he tried, and people won't stop comparing me to him growing up, so it made me very resentful of him. When he introduced his girlfriend to us, I felt an instant connection with her, like she was the funniest, nicest woman I've known my whole life. Honestly, I know that it does sound bad, but I kind of developed a small crush on her. However, after some time, I grew out of it. My relationship with my brother and even my parents improved a lot these years, and I think it's mainly because of her. We've become very good friends, and she would listen to me and advise me. I went over to their house after they got married regularly, depending on how busy we were with school and work. It was a nice bonding experience. Most times my brother was there too. However, recently, about half a year or a little more, me and her started meeting without my brother. We're not having an affair or anything, just as friends. They were having issues. She felt like he neglected her, and I was supporting her like a good friend would do. Our emotional connection really grew during this time. I already loved her, as sister-in-law, before, but recently I've started loving her more. We would go out to eat, have a walk in the park, go watch a movie, or hang out in either her house if my brother was not there, or in my house if he was. While this happened between us, their relationship got worse and worse with time. He was neglecting her. He couldn't meet her needs and only wanted to do things his way. That's what she told me. This has been going on for months now. So about a month ago, she told me she wants to leave him, and she asked me if I would help her if she did. She wanted to know if I would let her stay with me for some time until she can get back on her feet. I told her I would do anything for her. Well, then one day she left him. They argued and she told him she wanted a divorce. She got some of her stuff and came to my flat. I let her stay. Some cousins or friends stay with me when visiting sometimes, so I'm ready to have guests over. This happened 2 weeks ago. About 4 days after my family found out she was staying with me, both my parents, my brother and sister, have called me or texted me to tell me off for helping her. My brother said this feels like I'm backstabbing him. He asked me to go see him to talk to him. I did, and he told me that he's feeling like crap now because his marriage is over, and on top of that, I wouldn't have betrayed him like this. I told him that I was helping her because we're good friends, but that doesn't mean I don't like him or something. Like, it's best to just divorce if their relationship is as bad as she told me. Well, now everyone in my family and even some of my friends are giving me crap for helping her and not siding with my brother. But I feel like they don't understand. I can't leave her alone now. You're the a-hole. You and your sister-in-law had an emotional affair. Yes, you did not sleep together, but it's still an affair. The best proof, you were hanging out in their house if your brother was not there, and in yours if your brother was home. That goes beyond friendship. You would not need to hide friendship from a husband. You're helping her for the wrong reasons. Be honest about that.